Minnesota Wild losing in 6 games to the St. Louis Blues in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs. Alexis, but why did they lose? Was it special teams? Was it goaltending? Was it not playing a full 60? And sure, you could say it's all of that because it very much is all of that and some, but there's 3 suggestions on Twitter and that's what we get. So that's what we're going to take. So what is your number one reasoning of the 3 reasons given why the Wild did not get out of the first round this year?
For me, it's 100% special teams. Special teams absolutely obliterated them in the playoffs. And going into the playoffs, my 2 X factors were special teams and goaltending. I think goaltending ended up being a non-factor, really one way or the other for both of the team. I mean, I thought the goalies who played in the playoffs this series played well. I don't think anyone really completely stood on their head. Even the game that Husso won, where he shut out the Wild in game 1, I thought that was more so, the Blues just scored and the Wild couldn't find the back of the net because they were hitting posts and, whatever. So I don't think goaltending ended up being as big of a factor as we maybe anticipated, but special teams, oh my God, that was so hard to watch. It was so hard to watch the penalty kill. It was so hard to watch the power play, and even just taking penalties at inopportune times when you need a goal in the third period and instead you're killing a 4-minute double minor high sticking penalty. That kind of stuff was just so frustrating, and it did end up turning the momentum in games time and time again when the Wild couldn't get a power play goal when they needed one. They couldn't kill a penalty when they needed one. They get frustrated and they take a penalty, so they're killing penalties instead of playing 5-on-5. And I really think if more of this series would have been played 5-on-5, or if the Minnesota Wild would have just figured it out on special teams, I do think that you've got a different outcome in the series. I think at least it goes 7, and I think the Wild have a better chance of winning it because you can go through all 6 of the games from that series, and I can show you exactly where special teams let them down in each of those games. I mean, I'm not even trying to be funny. It's not funny.
I know.
It's traumatizing. It's awful. We knew this was going to happen and it happened. And so it's just so
you did, because you picked that being the kryptonite, right?
Yes, I was like, this is going to absolutely kill them. If it gets into a special teams battle, this is going to kill them. And it did. And so to me, that was the biggest issue for them. And I really think you've got a different series if there's not so many special teams issues for the Minnesota Wild. Jesse, did one of those 3 stick out, or is there something different you want to throw a wrench in this?
I mean,
and throw something else out?
Because we can't let anybody else throw a wrench in it.
Then they'll be mad. They're like, why'd they get another option?
For the sake, because we can. First of all, we can. If I wanted
the rules
to,
and we break the rules,
I
baby.
freaking will do it, but we're not going to. Since you said special teams, and obviously I think that is the number 1 problem, but number 2 for me for sure is playing full 60. I had an issue with that throughout the season because for some reason that second period Minnesota dropped and yes, I'm going back to specifically game 5 and game 6, but just in general as a whole, looking back on the year, I'm like, that for some reason has constantly been an issue because it's almost like they trusted themselves too much to come back in the third, right? Nope, we can do this. We're going to come back in the third and it's going to be fine. And it worked out for them. But that was something that we had asked as members of the media constantly too, is this sustainable? Because I don't think this is sustainable. I don't think you guys should get too comfortable with playing a 40-minute game. Or 50 even. It never felt like they got that full 60 in any effort. And whether it was the second period, to me, the second period stands out more. And again, I'm probably thinking specifically about game 5 because that was bad. But in general, there was always down, and yes, there's going to be lags, right? But it seems like they would take a full period off, whether it was the first period, the second period. It usually
they give up 4 goals in the second period and then come out and score 5 in the third. It's okay, that'll work for you in the regular season, but I promise you it's going to be a lot harder in the playoffs.
Oh my goodness. So I mean, that's definitely up there for me too. I don't know how you just play hockey for the full 60. It's a 60-minute game. I mean, give me 55 minutes. Give me 55 minutes. I don't care. Well,
and like you said, every team in a game is going to have lulls where, maybe they have a bad shift or they've got a bad couple of minutes or, whatever. That's going to happen to almost every single team in almost every single game at some point. You just can't afford to fall asleep for an entire period. That's where you're going to end up getting beat because the teams in the NHL are way too good to let you get away with that for the most part. And especially come playoff time. And like you said, Jesse, it just seemed like it really bit them. And then in the playoffs, compared to the regular season where they ended up having that urgency and that burst of energy in the third period of all right, forget about it. We'll just go score a few more goals. We'll get some good goaltending. We'll call it a day.
Right.
In the playoffs, teams aren't going to let that fly. They're going to score a few goals on you in the second, and then they're going to hang on in the third because then they see victory on the horizon. So I do think those are probably the top 2 issues for the Minnesota Wild in the playoffs. Angry. I need a stress ball or something.